Welcome to the walkthrough of IBM's Knowledge Accelerator for Energy and Utilities. This offering is available on IBM Cloud Pak for Data, primarily using the Watson Knowledge Catalog capability. This video provides an overview of the extensive business term coverage provided for energy and utilities companies. These business terms can be leveraged in auto-classification of the company's data sources, resulting in an organized catalog of data assets for data exploration and analysis, including machine learning activities. Let's dive deeper. The top-level view for the content includes 4 category areas: business core vocabulary, business performance indicators, business scopes, and industry alignment vocabularies. Let's now look at each category area in more detail. Firstly, the business core vocabulary. This category contains thousands of E&U business terms organized into 12 subcategories. These terms can be used to define and agree the vocabulary and definitions within an organization, and also serve as the target for auto-classification of data sources. This is the core area of the glossary to which all other terms within indicators, scopes, and alignments are mapped into. These categories include a mix of general categories such as accounting and common, and E&U specific categories such as asset, system for network context, meter, and outage. Let's look at asset and customer categories in more detail. In this category, there are asset terms that are generic to all utility types. The 3 main concept terms here are asset, typically assets on the network; asset configuration, for configurations that apply to more than one asset, usually of the same type; asset model, to describe the type of the asset. Asset category has 2 further subcategories for gas and power specific asset terms. In gas, we have regulator term, which is a type of asset model and has 12 property terms to describe the regulator. And in the power category, shield material. This is a property term used to describe cable information. There is SIM standard reference data associated with this term, containing 5 values. The Knowledge Accelerator contains approximately 300 E&U industry-specific reference data sets that are mapped to business terms and contain thousands of values. This reference data can be extended or customized with values from your own data sources. These sets and values can then be used as input to data classes to help with profiling data sources and governing data. Let's look at the characteristics of the asset term and its relationships to other terms. This is a concept term indicated by its tag and classification. A concept can have property terms and relationships to other concept terms. A term can only be in one primary category, which helps to provide immediate context to a term. But a term can be referenced in multiple secondary categories. In this case, there are 33 business scopes that the term is relevant to. Also, a business term can be a nexus of analysis, also known as a dimension, in many performance indicators, for example, maintenance cost analysis. The asset terms participating in many relationships, the inspected asset being one of them. It also has 3 types of relationships. Navigating to meter shows the inverse of the relationship, that meter is a type of asset. Concept terms can define as part of relationships to property terms. In this case, there are 33 such terms. Property terms are used to describe a concept and relate concepts together. Let's look at some of these in more detail. Linear asset length of the asset. Note the tag and classification identifying this as a property term. Its data type is decimal, and that linear asset length is a part of asset. Property relationship terms relate 2 concepts together. These can be identified by their extra tag and classification of relationship. These type of property terms enable cross-business term relationships. In this case, asset maintainer of the asset. Notice the term has a related business term of organization, indicating that the organization is the maintainer of an asset. Let's look at some of the other characteristics of a property term. Installation date of the asset, data type date, has a cardinality defined, as do all property terms. In addition, all business terms can be assigned from terms in the industry alignment vocabularies. This term is assigned from Maximo Interface and SIM standard alignment terms. This importantly also relates any data to these standards and interfaces that is also mapped into the same business term. Also note that property terms can contribute to the derivation of measure terms. These relationships from business terms to measures then help to show what governed data is needed to derive the measure. For example, installation date is used to derive the age of faulty equipment in relation to asset health assessment. In addition to the industry-specific reference data that is available with the Knowledge Accelerator, there are also approximately 200 data classes available with Watson Knowledge Catalog. The business terms are also related to these data classes. For example, see the property term uniquely tracked commodity number of the asset, which has a UPC data class assigned. These data classes can then be used to help auto-classify data sources to the business terms of the Knowledge Accelerator to help govern and catalog your data. Let's now quickly look at the terms in the customer category, this time browsing via the global search in CloudPack for data. Let's restrict the search to business terms that are tagged as concept and are in the customer category. This yields 51 concept terms such as customer, customer account transaction. Now let's remove the concept tag, in effect showing all the terms in the category, whether concept or property. Note, there are 441 terms in total in the customer category. Let's now look at the next category area of the Knowledge Accelerator, business performance indicators. This area includes an extensive set of performance analysis terms and measures that can be used to define and agree measurements of the business. They include approximately 700 measures grouped into 100 performance analysis terms sorted into categories representing performance areas of interest like asset management and outage and reliability. These terms can also be used to document and govern reporting and analytical data. Navigating into the work management category, let's restrict to performance analysis terms and not the measures. There are 18 performance analysis terms in work management that group measures covering a variety of different information needs, from crew availability and utilization analysis to work order completion analysis. Let's look at the characteristics of one of these performance terms, asset maintenance analysis. Asset maintenance and its measures can be analysed by terms such as asset and failure event. In this context, these can also be known as dimensions. We can see how the performance analysis term is used to group measure terms around an information requirement. In this case, there are 18 measures related to the analysis term using has a part of relationships. Measures such as maintenance completed reported hours are derived from the business core vocabulary terms, in this case labour duration, date and the type of the work order. Measures can also be calculated from other measures. This measure is contributing to the measure average maintenance completed reported hours, indicated by the calculates relationship, with this measure in turn defining a formula to present the outline of the calculation. Let's now look at the next category area of the Knowledge Accelerator, business scopes. The scopes are secondary categories referencing business terms from multiple primary categories. There are approximately 80 scopes to cover a diverse range of project data requirements from across the organization. For example, outage context contains terms such as the estimated restoration time for the outage that may have been communicated to the customer, the weather event that caused the outage, to the region that the outage impacts. The final category area that we will walk through is the industry alignment vocabularies. These are glossary representations of the native terminology and structure of external standards, SIM, regulations, GDPR and CCPA, or interface definitions, Maximo and the Weather Company. These alignment terms are mapped across to the core business vocabulary, enabling the alignment terms to be used as an entry point into these core business terms and by extension to any data mapped into these core terms too. Let's look at SIM in more detail. SIM packages are represented as subcategories, for example, operations and work. Then SIM classes and properties are represented as terms, for example, Base work is a term that is equivalent to the original class. It is assigned to the concept terms project and work order in the core business vocabulary. It is in a term type hierarchy having two has types and one is a type of document term. And importantly, it has part of relationships to 5 terms that are equivalent to the original sim properties that were contained in the original class. This demonstrates that the original structure of the sim standard has been maintained, including lineage across to the core business terms. Finally, if we look at the core business term last name, we can see that it has been assigned from multiple alignment vocabularies: sim, GDPR, and Maximo. This shows how core business terms are designed to help translate external requirements into a common glossary, which can then be used to support multiple requirements. This concludes the walkthrough of the Knowledge Accelerator for Energy and Utilities on Cloud Pak for Data. Thank you for watching.